Airtech Mod Soldier here, and I'm back to talk about Star Wars Ahsoka Season 1, Episode 7, and my thoughts on this episode. Well, we got our first filler episode, and it was near the end, which is ridiculous. Yeah, this episode was... Yeah, I'm going to say it, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. This episode is just like last week's episode, except boringer. Like, you've already shown us Thrawn, you've already shown us his troops, you've already shown us all this stuff, and you have not explained a goddamn thing. This episode should have been the episode to explain shit. But what was this episode about? Just getting Ahsoka there. That was it. I mean, for God's sake, you have two characters who haven't seen each other for 10 fucking years. And you could barely fucking tell they were friends. The actor they've got to play Ezra, complete miscast. He is a terrible fucking actor. So far, what I've seen him in, there's no way this guy got his acting job on his own. There's something going on there. And Sabine, the actress playing Sabine, yeah, she has a great ass. I'll give you that. But other than that, what else you got? Her acting's terrible too. So you got two terrible actors and actress working together, and it is just plain to see on screen when they talk to each other, when they do anything with each other. It is painful to watch sometimes, and again, it's slow. I mean, my God. Dave, can you write a fucking episode where I don't need to press skip to 10 seconds ahead and technically still not miss a goddamn thing? Oh my God. This episode was a complete dull fest. Nothing was explained. Nothing really happened. And we got a couple of fucking member berry bullshit with Anakin and Ahsoka training stuff. And again, you've already used that member berry, Anakin. I liked it. This time, couldn't give a shit. You've used it. Now you're overusing it, Dave. You can't expect Anakin to save your episodes all the fucking time. Oh, and, you know, there is something in this episode that is very clear now, and it is to do with Balon and Sheen. I think you all know what I'm going to say about her. I think we all know what her future entails, because there was a scene in this episode where she could have been done for, and they just let her go. And it's just like, yeah. The story with her is definitely clear now with what they're doing. And what they've done to stormtroopers. Like, oh my God. Do you remember in Star Wars when the Jedi, or the good guys, were surrounded by stormtroopers, B-1 battle droids? Yeah, you knew they'd get away. We all knew they'd get away. But there was always that little feeling inside you that says they might not. That feeling is just gone with Disney Star Wars. Because you just know every time they're going to get away. And it's just so fucking comedic, the way they show stormtroopers. I mean, you got what we looked on the screen there, 100 stormtroopers surrounding certain characters, and it was just like, oh, well, obviously they're gonna get away. I mean, it is so... There is just a disaster at what they've done to the stormtroopers. I mean, my God. And the one new cameo in this episode. I already talked about member berries, but I'll talk about this member berry. There's one cameo that seemed stupid. And I don't mean stupid like it shouldn't have happened. I mean stupid as you got the wrong person there, Dave. I know it would be hard to do all the work to get the other character involved, but let's be honest, if you got that character involved, she would obviously show up Hera and take over the scene, and you're trying desperately to try to make Hera this massive thing in all of Star Wars, and it's just not going to work. Sorry. So the character they got in that scene was just the wrong one. The characters they should have got, well, it's just dumb. But let's go into spoilers now. Oh, I haven't even given my grade yet, have I? 0. There's nothing good in this episode. Nothing. It's a 0 out of 10. A waste of time. It's just a waste of time. This episode is not needed. Nothing is explained. Nothing really happens. It's just a filler episode. And I'm kind of getting sick to fucking death of filler episodes. When George Lucas did filler episodes, they didn't feel like filler episodes. Like in the Clone Wars. They always felt like, yes, they're not a part of the main story, but they're still important. With Disney filler episodes, you know you never have to come back and watch this episode because it just doesn't matter. And the story is no way good enough to come back to. So, 0 out of 10 for me. So, let's go into spoilers now. If you don't want to hear spoilers, leave in 3, 2, 1. So, Episode 7 starts off with the trial of Hera, when she's now back at the New Republic and she is in front of a court-martial because she disobeyed orders and took a force to search for Ahsoka and Sabine. So, yes, I kind of thought maybe this episode we'd concentrate on Coruscant. We'd concentrate on Hera, dealing with all this, red tape bullshit. And maybe it'd be an interesting episode to kind of see where the Republic is now, see where the laws are, kind of get the experience and all that knowledge and all that canon stuff that Star Wars fans usually like to see. Did we get that in this episode? Fuck no! Because what happens? Because the Asian guy who's on the fucking court, he's the one giving it to fucking Hera, saying, you should have done this, you're making a mountain out of a molehill, the Imperials are not working together, they're just a bunch of, separate criminals that we're going to deal with soon. And yes, maybe you can make that argument, but for fuck's sake, Hera literally saw a fucking Imperial ship that was different to others. There's obviously something going on here, and it really did feel so weak from Hera. It really did. Like, she doesn't really explain herself. She's just standing there. And you've got fucking Mon Mothma, the fucking Chancellor, and she's just there saying nothing. I mean, sometimes she steps up to defend Hera. But yeah, it just feels so boring as well. I'm watching the court-martial, and it feels like Hera's just getting a little talking to. That's all this felt like. Oh my god. Can we just remember, if you've read the Thrawn novels, the Thrawn trilogy, do you remember the stories on Coruscant, how we were finding out about stuff, how we were finding out how the Empire operated, how we were being introduced to new senators and new characters, senators that we thought were the bad guys turned out they were the good guys, senators we thought were the good guys turned out to be the bad guys, interesting stuff. You kind of like spy thriller stuff. That's what we got from the books. Do we get any of that in this episode? Fuck no. Because before the trial even, I think, starts, C-3PO walks in with a message from Leia. Now, what I was talking to in the non-spoiler section is, why are you bothering with C-3PO? I don't give a fuck if C-3PO turns up. He turns up in anything, in everything. But apparently that's supposed to be a camo that all the clapping seal fans will just go, yay, C-3PO, yay. It's like, fuck off. You have the money, you have the technology, just get Leia. Why is she sending C-3PO with a message when she could come there and it would be probably a bit more powerful to the court? That one of the heroes, one of the main heroes of the rebellion. I know what people are going to say. She's passed away. We can't get her back. You can use CGI. You did it in Rogue One. You can do it now. and this show's budget is pretty big. Why couldn't you do that? But I can tell you why I think they didn't get Leia in on this scene. She'd take too much of the space, wouldn't she? She would be too much of the audience, attention would just be on her. Nobody would give a shit about anybody else in that room but Leia. And whoever plays her character, you don't really have to try hard. You just got to tell a rousing speech and explain to the, galaxy what's happening and how we need to believe her and all that shit. It's like, that scene would be probably interesting, but they can't have that because they need Hera to still be, in charge of the scene, let's say. But, yeah. So, C-3PO comes in with a fucking message from Leia, who's the head of the defense committee or something. And, yeah, she takes full responsibility for Hera's actions. She says she sanctioned it, and here's all the reports that she needed to fill out for it. So, yeah. The trial's over. That trial lasted about 5 minutes. And everybody could tell Leia was lying. Everybody could tell this was bullshit. And who gives a shit? Mon Mothma cancels the trial. And Hera gets away. 5 fucking minutes on the trial. Do we see Coruscant? Do we see anything in these scenes? Nah. Nah. Why bother? Why bother showing us any of that? Let's just go back to the main story. Why would we want to know more about the Republic? Why would we want to know more about, where things are in this galaxy? It's so fucking shit. So, the trial's over, Hera gets away, and we go back to Thrawn and all the that planet he's on. So, no, not back to Thrawn, back to Ahsoka, who's training on her ship with a hologram of Anakin. And I'm supposed to care. And we find out he made a bunch of these hollow, training things. And Ahsoka was listening to the last one he did. And Yarn comes in and tells Ahsoka that they're nearly at their destination, wherever the whales have taken them, because, he's not sure how Ahsoka knows where the whales have taken them. The whales come out of hyperspace and then are unfortunate enough to land in the middle of an Imperial minefield, where the whales are getting a bit of a slap from the mines. By the way, no whale dies. No whale dies in this minefield. I mean, Thrawn's only been beaten by them once, his biggest defeat in history, and he hasn't made enough bombs to kill whales. Why the hell hasn't he tested it? Anyway. So the whales get a bit of a slap from the mines. Ahsoka gets out of the whale's mouth and just heads through the mines. Does some good skill with the piloting. And, yeah. She gets through. Then some fighters chase her from the ring. She goes through the whale graveyard to escape them. You get the typical fighter chasing ship through asteroid field, and the fighters just get destroyed. And then Thrawn calls off the attack because he realizes, they're just going to die if they follow her in there. Just leave her up there. And then, Morgan tells Thrawn about Ahsoka, gives him the information from the Inquisitorium about Ahsoka, and then Thrawn finds out that Anakin was Ahsoka's master, and that puts a bit of fright up Thrawn, but then he kind of realizes now he knows more about Ahsoka, he knows now how to defeat Ahsoka. So he calls up the witches to do their magic. By the way, kind of funny that one of them's that Farscape girl. She's the front one. I don't know. I only kind of just realised that when someone pointed it out on YouTube. But yeah, that's her apparently. Anyway, yeah, so the witches come up and say, and Thrawn says, "Hey, I need your magic again. Can you come find Ahsoka?" And they say, "Yeah, we're doing this because it's apparently your destiny for this shit to happen." Okay. So they do their magic. Whilst this is all going on, we go to Sabine and Ezra having a little chat with each other. Remember, people, they haven't seen each other in 10 fucking years. it does the show. And we get a fucking bunch of bad acting of them in some kind of convoy with the rock people, where Ezra talks about being, you know, how these people are peace-loving people and how he's been staying with them for most of his time there. And Sabine tells him about the Empire falling, about the Emperor getting killed. By the way, don't mention Luke at all in this episode. Just, yeah, the Empire got defeated and the Emperor died. Maybe you should tell Ezra about who did all that shit. Kind of an important person. God. And again, these scenes with Ezra and Sabine were very slow. Then the convoy gets attacked by Balon's red people, because apparently he made an alliance with them. Sends them in to, you know, kind of stop the convoy. And then we get the scene between Balon and Sheen, where it is obvious where Sheen's going to end up. She's going to betray her master because, again, you've just seen the signs. She's unsure of him. She's not trusting him as much. Again, she trusted him fully at the other galaxy, but this galaxy, she apparently doesn't trust her master. I mean, it's just a bit too quick, in my opinion. You should have set a lot more groundwork for that, Dave. A lot more. But again, we all know what she's going to do at the end. So Balon sends her in to kind of deal with them, kill Sabine and kill Ezra for Thrawn, whilst Balon just stands there with his dog. Oh God. So the convoy is attacked, and then I think we get the scene where Ahsoka uses the Force to locate Sabine, and apparently he's able to locate her, and that's how the witches find Ahsoka, and then Morgan fires her ship's cannons at that spot, and then Ahsoka manages to escape that attack and then run straight down to the planet, getting chased by fighters. The convoy is then put on a complete halt. Thrawn sends in 2 platoons of stormtroopers. They arrive and then surround the convoy after Sabine and Ezra pretty much kick the shit out of the red guys. Oh yeah, there's a scene where Sabine tries to hand Ezra his lightsaber, and Ezra just says, you know what, nah, I'm better with the Force. Ezra, it's your fucking lightsaber. I mean, we all know why he's not going to take that lightsaber back. We all know why, because Sabine needs to be the one with the lightsaber. Again, Sabine needs to have the dick in this situation. And that is what that is. Unbloody believable. So, there they've dealt with the fucking mercenaries. Then Sheen has a fight with them both. The stormtroopers arrive. Literally like 100 stormtroopers were around. The stormtroopers were around them. And as we always fucking know, they get their ass kicked. These new stormtroopers are apparently dead, because it looks like that's what the red shit's on them, is the ones keeping them alive. They all get mostly massacred because Ahsoka, while she's being chased by the fighters, jumps down, kills a couple of them, and then there's a massive fight between what's left of stormtroopers. They all get knocked out. By the way, they have 2 gunships not a fucking feet away and don't use them, or their cannons, or their rockets. So yeah, stormtroopers get attacked. Ezra, Sabine, and Ahsoka pretty much nearly wiped them all out. Only a couple escape. And yeah, does Thrawn use any special tactics with the stormtroopers? Has Thrawn teach these stormtroopers how to deal with Jedi? No, they're just as regular as the regular of stormtroopers. Nothing special about these stormtroopers. Why? Why not have Thrawn actually defeat them all in this episode? Why don't you have him using special tactics with the stormtroopers, special bombs, special moves? For God's sake, you introduce us to these new kind of stormtroopers, and they're just as the same as they were in every other fucking series of Star Wars now. Useless. So Sheen basically gets defeated. I know I should mention the whole bullshit fight between Ahsoka and Balon, but do you really need to explain that? Ahsoka and Balon have a fight. Ahsoka uses missiles from her ship to knock him back. It does kind of look like Balon can go toe-to-toe with Ahsoka. I know he beat her before, but, she came back and, had this whole, becoming white Ahsoka instead of just dark Ahsoka. I don't really know what the hell that was about, but yeah. But apparently he can still hold his own against her, but she uses rockets against him, and yeah. Gets to save Ahsoka, and not Ahsoka, gets to save Sabine and Ezra. Stormtroopers are defeated, Thrawn looks like a moron and just says fine. He just says fine, they won this round. But he's won the battle, he's won the war, because he has now got everything he needs from the Night Sisters. He's gotten all those caskets from the Night Sisters. I'm not sure what those caskets are, and I've tried to think about it. Maybe they're dead Jedi, maybe they're dead aliens from another world. I don't know, because they are definitely not from Morgan's ship. Apparently the ship's just there to engulf the Star Destroyer and just send it into back to the galaxy they're from. I think that's what they're doing. But yeah, so this apparently gave Thrawn enough time to get all the equipment back on the ship and is now ready to leave. Okay. Oh, fucking hell. And then we get, Ahsoka meeting back up with Ezra, and again, I couldn't give a shit because it just looked like neither of them could give a shit. And the episode ends there. Again, nothing really happened. We don't get any explanation of why Thrawn is in such a state. We don't get any explanation about the new stormtroopers. We don't get any explanation about anything. I know people are going to say, what about Ezra explaining what he's been doing? So has that been all he's been doing for 10 years? Hanging around with the rock people? That's what he's been doing for 10 years. Whilst Thrawn's been doing some massive plan, I think. Just garbage. Just filler. Just absolutely no need for this episode. And all this episode really was for was to get Ahsoka to the planet. You could have done that with the last episode and ended on Ahsoka in the middle of a fucking minefield. And then opened us up to this whilst explaining Thrawn's plan, whilst explaining why Thrawn's in such a shit state. And that's it. That's the end of the review. It's a 0 out of 10. This is not worth watching. What a waste of time. If you like this video, give it a like. If you dislike this video, give it a dislike. And if you like my content, do think about subscribing. And if you have a comment, leave it below and I'll try to get back to it as soon as I can. Entertainment Soldier. Bye.